Okay.
So we are live. I'll just give a formal introduction to the piece, just to warm up the audience. Good evening, everyone. I am Ansi Sharma, and you're watching me live on IndianTelevision.com, where we will be discussing today old versus the new, how digital marketing is going to reshape in the new normal in the coming future. And we have with us Chandni Shah and Rohan Mehta, the dynamic duo behind the massive success of an agency called Kinnect. It's one of the fastest growing digital agencies in the country right now and is managing some of the biggest clients. My favorite campaigns from their end have been the Tide TikTok challenge and the rap that they created with music. Welcome Chandni, welcome Rohan.
Thanks so much for having us here.
It's,
Thanks, Mansi. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
thank you so much, and you have must have taken time out from a very busy schedule. Just to give a little background on the topic, we all know that the novel coronavirus has come as a big disruptor to all the businesses, not just in India, but across the country. Globally, people have been impacted, and it's a tough time for the marketers. They had to realign their strategies, they had to replan, reallocate their budget. But what I have been hearing from most of the marketers, and I'll put it out in their own way, that one great thing that has happened during this time that it has acted as a great equalizer for the industry. The lines between the big businesses and the small businesses are blurring slowly, and also it has managed to do very good, act as a further catalyst for the boom that digital industry was witnessing in the country and across the globe again. But there are some people who might say that if we look at the percentage wise growth, it was just a marginal increase that we have witnessed. So, what are your thoughts on it? Has it been a massive growth, or is it just uh, uh, a momentary uptake that we are seeing in digital?
Yeah, so let me address that. I think it's a tough time for everyone, and everyone is affected through this largely negatively within businesses in the country. Now, digital surely stands out as one of the things that will get positively impacted through it, but that positive impact will surely take some time to come. So while digital adoption has gone through the roof and people are using these platforms more than ever, because businesses are currently in a downturn, and that's a large percentage of businesses are in a downturn, spending still hasn't come that quickly. So while I don't think it's in fact, I don't think it's a short term blip. It's surely here to stay, and it'll have a massive impact on the digital spend soon enough. As soon as businesses start recovering, you will see that much larger jump happening on digital spends. So I think evaluating the spends in the last couple of months isn't the right metric. We have to see it over a 6 month period to gauge the kind of impact it's having.
For sure. I think more than digital spends increasing, I think what the businesses are today focusing on is digitizing of their businesses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think digital transformation was a really big buzzword that was there. And a lot of uh, companies were working towards it. What the pandemic has really done is it's accelerated the process of that.
Mhm.
So I think when it comes to digital, I see like a lot of businesses moving in that direction, and then by virtue of that, I also see the spends moving towards digital. Yeah.
And if we talk about in the digital domain, there are categories, there's social, there's programmatic, there's search. So if we look at all of them, is there a difference? Some of them are growing, or all of them are growing. Which of them are growing? Maybe slightly better than the other.
Yeah, so different parts of the business have been impacted differently. I think influencer marketing has seen a big rise, especially collaborating with content creators who are able to create content even during the downturn. Has been something that's been constantly looked out at by a lot of brands. Video production, on the other end, is severely hit. While we are now using a lot of formats like animations and even shooting from home through iPhones, and trying to make shoots happen through Zoom calls, it's surely something that you can't produce large scale content right now. Media, on the other hand, while in the short term has taken a small dip, I think media will be the biggest winner at the end of it. Whatever is print's loss and OOH's loss is going to be digital's gain. I think print was an inertia industry as such, which was anyways slowing down. And digital has only accelerated, the COVID has only accelerated that slowdown right now. Other parts of the businesses, I think, which social remains as a consistent place to communicate. Also, you will notice that a lot of campaigns today are now thought as digital first. So the first medium for release, in fact, it's short for Instagram, it's short for TikTok for that matter. And brands are embracing it more than ever.
Tammy, you have something to add?
No, I mean, I would fully agree. I think, like, for example, a lot of user behavior has kind of shifted towards digital. Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing the last few campaigns that we've executed all have been digital first. I don't know if you've seen the two campaigns that we recently did during the lockdown. One was the one with HDFC Bank.
Yes, I do.
Hum Haar Nahi Manenge. That was largely a digital launch. And it really it was created for the medium, where we shot with AR Rahman, Unity song, which would kind of bind the country together and circulate it on digital. So yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that a lot of communication is thought of now with a digital first approach.
Rohan mentioned that influencer marketing is really growing, and we have been noticing that. So I have two questions around that. First one is the very basic discussion that is going on right now, that as production starts, as the mainstream ad production starts, will the influencers enjoy the same attention they are getting from the brands and agencies right now, or will they lose their shine?
Right?
Yeah, so influencer marketing is here to stay. I don't believe that they will lose their shine. There could be the momentary growth which could slow down for a bit because there'll be pent up demand on the video production side of things, which will get fulfilled now. So budgets will start moving towards that. But in the long term, influencer marketing has become such a mainstay in pretty much every campaign that you're in. And there are more meaningful ways now to interact with influencers. Influencer marketing started out as influencers amplifying a campaign. Now they are part of the campaign. They co-create the content for that campaign, and they've become brand ambassadors of sorts, right? So it's something that's here to stay. It might experience a small drop, when production starts, but long term, I don't see any drop on that front.
Yeah. Yeah, I think during the lockdown, we've seen a huge spike in influencer marketing, like one was saying. Like they've become like the familiar faces that people want to kind of hear from, the voice of positivity during a time like this. So I've seen, in fact, like a lot of brands kind of shift in that direction and then want to continue pursuing this particular thing. I don't think production will change the impact of influencer marketing. Yeah.
And if we look at from a consumer point of view, so when we are watching an influencer, it's mainly for their content. So do you think that the return on investment is as much as the brands expect, or it's just to stay relevant and it's not to drive sales? How do the brands approach the influencer marketing culture right
I think a lot depends on how you structure um, your entire campaign around them. So if you ask me ROI in general, that it really depends on how your strategy behind the entire piece. I still feel that if done right, influencer marketing gives great value. Even if you compare it to media or other forms of advertising. But there is lots of influencer marketing that does not give you the same value, right? Like people with fake followers, fake accounts. So I think a lot of effort needs to be put in one, finding out the kind of influencers which are authentic. Two is making sure that they connect with your brand well. I think when you get these couple of things right, then that leads to a successful outcome. A lot of times influencer marketing is done, little on the lax side of things. So that time you might not be getting such good ROI.
Yeah. But in a lot of categories, influencer marketing is performing extremely well. In fact, it's leading to a lot of, for e-com companies, like it's leading to direct sales when we've kind of invested in influencer marketing. So yeah, I think brands are seeing the ROI and the reason to invest if we pick the right influencers. Yeah.
IGTV is also going to be another big thing because of the recent announcement that we saw. They are going to share the revenues, the profits also with the influencers. And I guess it's also to just amp up the platform because IGTV never really picked it up that way as Instagram was expecting it to. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think people are finding the right platform to connect with the consumers they like connecting with, right? So influencers surely get a large fillip when Facebook behaves well, similar to YouTube in the sense, and starts allowing you to monetize your video out there. So it surely gives you a second reason now to go out and create great content, even if it's not sponsored by a company for that matter. So I surely think whenever good content comes, it automatically starts working well, right? It's a function of how many people are utilizing it and the quality of content that's getting put out on that platform. And that platform will start working really well. So Instagram influencers have grown in like numbers, in hordes, I would say, in the last few years. And of course, there's a lot of competition within them. This just allows them also to start monetizing, even the smaller influencers to start monetizing their relationships.
Yeah. And talking about the platforms is one sort of very silly debate that is going on right now is YouTube versus TikTok. So for consumers, I don't see it making much sense because who decides what's strange, what's good. But if we look at from a brand's perspective, how are they reacting to it? Is TikTok losing its popularity? Are they rethinking the platform?
Yeah, so while the connotation has become YouTube versus TikTok, the actual meaning of it is YouTubers versus TikTokers. So I think world is oblivious to that, right? It's a bunch of people fighting with another bunch of people. For a brand, what matters is, can I reach out to my consumers in a meaningful manner? Can I reach out to them in a cost efficient manner? Can I engage them in a way that they have a propensity to buy my product? And as a platform continues to do that, they will continue investing monies in that platform. I think the versus conversation is only for a small set of people who are invested into a particular platform or the other. But at large, I think the industry is oblivious to it.
And we've run quite a few campaigns on TikTok. We've seen brands get really good results in terms of, brand consideration, people participating, engagement, all of that through TikTok. So I think brands are focused more on those KPIs rather than all of these controversies that are happening. Yeah.
And if we talk about you as an agency, you also won some pitches during this lockdown period. So, is the pitching process different? Are there some different strategies in place? Earlier you must be going to someone's office, a team of 4 5 people with big presentations and talking face to face. How has it changed now? How difficult or easy is it now?
So, yeah, it is challenging because pitching is a collaborative process. I think it starts with our brainstormings. So, when you have to brainstorm, you have to kind of come together. So, yeah, there are quite a few multiple calls that happen on VC where there are hours spent on brainstorming. So, that becomes really challenging. Also, design is a very important part of what we have to deliver, right? So managing design remotely has also been quite a challenge, but I think we're working through it. People are getting more and more used to kind of, spending more time on video chats and putting their thoughts together. When it comes to face-to-face contact, I think what we are doing as an agency is that whenever we go for a pitch, we leave our cameras on. I think there are certain clients on the other side who can leave their cameras off, but I think leaving your cameras on is really important because it builds that personal connect. and people can see the faces and the genuineness when we are pitching. So that has surely helped. Yeah, and I think that now, like, we've done quite a few pitches in the recent time, and they've gone off pretty smoothly. Hopefully, we'll hear uh, some results very, very soon. But yeah, overall, I think now we're kind of getting used to it.
Rohan, you have something to add?
Yeah, I would say pitching has been tough. It's not optimal to pitch on VC. Um, while it's easy to work or easy or relatively easier to work with your current accounts on VC because you have a relationship, you've been working with them, you know the people involved. Out here, you're building a relationship for the first time. So um, this is surely not one of the things that I would continue post the lockdown. While I think a lot of my client meetings for my current clients would continue on VC, pitching is something I would prefer to do in person. Having said that, because everyone's on the same playing field, it levels things out, right? Then you're gauging one VC against the other. So pitches have started over the last month and a half, quite a few pitches, in fact. And people are deciding which partners they want to work with today, right? Like, because they've understood the importance of this medium, they've understood how well you work. And even they realize that if you manage to put together all these ideas and if you manage to do a fabulous job at the pitch in the lockdown, then it should almost get more value than if you did that in normal times.
Yeah. One thing we're doing is we're going with very exhaustive pitches, and like we're going all out, which has helped us, win more, or at least have a decent response to our pitches overall. Yeah.
And how are you managing it within the team, the communications? Do you have a fixed schedule that this time the morning call happens, this time the evening call happens? Or you're just going with the flow as it would happen in office that if someone faces a problem, they knock on your door and there are no set timings as well?
So largely it's going with the flow. But what we do is a day before the pitch, we're definitely doing a dry run. And we have like allocated time slots of, hey, like our pitches are integrated, right, in nature. So this much time the creative team's going to pitch. This is the time the media team's going to kind of talk. So we're doing these dry runs to ensure that we're engineering the pitch to success. That's really the idea. But yeah, that's like, I think that one dry run kind of fixes the entire pitch flow and management overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I am actually one of the things that I like about everyone being in the lockdown is how calendar focused we've become. India is not a very punctual country. It's not a very structured country. And I used to work in the US right before I moved back to India and started Kinnect. And we were used to working on VCs. We were all used to working on conference calls, and everyone got to the meeting on the minute, right, on the dot. And I tried for many years to inculcate these values into the company, and I'm saying I would have terribly failed. I have terribly failed. But COVID made it all happen. Suddenly, overnight, everyone understood how to use Zoom calls, how to use calendars, how to get onto conference calls. So I think that was one of the most. I was the happiest, to see that happen. I was like, I've been
Me
trying
too.
so long. And the good thing was, just adding to that, is this time not only the agency but the client also experienced it. So no
Yes.
one had a choice. Everyone experienced it, and everyone realized that, hey, I think a lot of things could get more optimized in my system. And that's why I know that it will surely stay even after COVID times, because once everyone's understood the benefit of it, that behavior sticks.
Glad we started the conversation about the future, that things are going to be more organized and people are going to be more punctual.
Mhm.
What are some of the key takeaways you think from this time, all the businesses, on the brand side as well as on the agency side, that people are going to take ahead and follow?
I didn't hear the start of your question. Can you say it again?
Yeah. So,
Ah,
as Rohan is mentioning that punctuality is something that people might take ahead from the COVID times. More organized way of functioning is something that can be taken ahead. So, what are some other lessons, some other things that people both on the brand side and on the agency side will be following in future as well once the lockdown is over?
I think people are going to be open to doing a lot more VCs even after the lockdown opens up. I think they've seen the efficiency overall come through. I don't think they're going to expect the teams to travel and pitch things and kind of go back. I think, Rohan, you did the math on this. You want to?
Yeah. So I'll talk about other changes also, but the first change was, of course, I think the highest value, because a single meeting that you go to, right? Like when Kinnect goes for a meeting, it's about 6 people going to a single meeting and 2 hours of travel time, right? Up and down. So for every meeting, you're losing 1.5 man-day, every time you do it. So I think that's surely one of the things that's here to stay. I think other things that are here to stay is that um, people have had the chance to involve more people into the conversation, right? Sometimes, some of the juniors might not have a voice when you're in a meeting. They get, they get intimidated with the seniors being around. Here, I felt with Zoom. First, it puts a name to everyone that's there. I have the name handy. Even while you're going through so many people, it's difficult for that. So, um, it doesn't. Seniority has become lesser of a problem. The next thing I see is cross-functional teams. It's been a big thing that we have implemented, but I think that will stay across on agency side and on brand side. Pulling teams from different geographies to make a crack team for a particular pitch or a particular project. Pulling in teams from different functions, right? Like if let's say media is less, but influencers more, can we get the media team to start helping out on influencer? So cross team collaboration is something that we've gained a lot out of, and again, people have even gained a lot out of. I think on the brand side. So some things like this, I think would stay even post COVID. Where you pull in the right kind of people for the right kind of task and you bring them together. You give youngsters a chance to express themselves and talk to senior people within the organization also. You also give a chance for people to spend a lot of time with themselves while they're thinking. I felt this was one thing that was really missing. In India, we have a habit of, one person is just giving support to the other person, and then there's a third person. On every single task, there are 3 or 4 people involved. This time, then one person takes up a task and then takes it up for a few hours and does that task religiously without getting disturbed by someone. So I also see that while flexibility surely increases, I think dependence and your general outlook to yourself and your own work also goes up quite a bit.
Yeah. Also, I think one other thing that happened with this is that a lot of our senior management could be in more places than they were in the past, and I think that should continue because you don't have any travel time or any meetings. In fact, like I think I am also being able to spend more time with all 3 geographies because typically I would be flying between Delhi and Bangalore and Bombay, all 3 geographies. I plan to continue, sustaining this in the long term also. Yeah, that's one thing that helps. Like you're meeting your senior management more frequently, all of that kind of, I think, are behaviors that will sustain not only at agencies, even on client side. I think that's something that'll continue.
So you think clients will be more open to virtual meetings now? They will not.
I don't think they want us to come to their office also. I think social distancing is here to stay. Nobody wants to meet anyone. They're like, huh, VC se baat karte. So yeah.
It's like in the near future, like for 4-6 months, they are seeing this continuing, or in the longer run, it's going to be a trend.
I just think that it's saving a lot of time, and clients have seen the benefit of that. So, and what's happening is while it's saving time, they are being able to have more frequent conversations also. So that's also really important to them. So I think they will be open till their work is getting done. I don't think that's going to matter. Like, come meet me, let's have a meeting. I don't think that culture is going to exist anymore.
I differ a little bit on that one. I think personal relationships still are here to stay. it might reduce significantly, and people will be more flexible on that one. But I think post-COVID times, everyone will surely, even like that fact that everything doesn't have to only be about work. You also spend some time talking about some other things when you do meet. Of course, I think let's say if we were doing 10 meetings today, I think five of them or six of them will move to virtual meetings, and three or four of them will probably continue as face-to-face meetings. Um, but yeah, surely a lot of change from where we were.
Yeah.
And as you said that it will be easier for you to get talent from across geographies. One
Mhm.
thing that the younger generation to which I also belong to, and you are not very uh, older than us, is that we are people who don't really like to be bound within the system, who want to do their own thing, don't like to take orders. And we have seen a considerable rise in the freelance and the consultant culture as well. So you think it's going to be a bigger trend? How open are you to involve freelancers and uh, consultants right now, and is it going to change in the future?
Yeah, the gig economy is going to be really big. Um, I I am very certain of that, because what's happened is, to succeed in this world, you now need, while we call it digital marketing or while we call it marketing in general, there are a lot of point solution specialists that you require, which you don't need them every single day. You probably need them one or two times in the year.
Hmm.
And those guys are even happier because they get to work only on that kind of work. I think the gig economy is going to really take off, both, meaning within agencies. It also helps you keep your business people light, right? Like you bring in the right kind of people. If you have a large campaign, you bring in five resources, they work on the campaign, and then post the campaign, they can continue working on some other campaign. So, because I surely feel it's here to stay. I feel that as things progress out here, things are also getting tougher to do by generalistic skills. So I feel the general skills will remain full time within the organization, the strategy, the thinking, the management of the client, whereas specialist skills might get outsourced from time to time, as and when required on campaigns or for specific projects.
Chandni, would you add something?
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense, like the kind of specialist projects that he's talking about. Like, for example, we have a lot of retail clients. We're really trying to digitally transform the retail experience.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily make sense for us to keep these guys on the payroll. It's actually a specialized project for which you need specialized skill sets. So those type of freelancers, I see like a big, upward swing for them overall. So yeah, definitely. Like I think uh, basis the solution, we will reach out to the right kind of specialist and work with them. And that I think is okay. Be it AR, be it VR, different these type of solutions will kind of pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, and addressing your point of people wanting more freedom and flexibility, I think that's growing. People want to work on the things that they are passionate about. They want to work at their own time, at their own convenience. And there are trade-offs to that flexibility, of course, but people are cognizant of those trade-offs, when they're taking them. Earlier, I don't think our environment allowed that, right? Like you had to go with with the grain. You couldn't go against the grain. Now you can. Now the grain is, it's not defined as such. So people are surely given the chance of having equally vibrant, equally fulfilling careers, while not holding down a full-time job.
Yeah.
And do you think there's a need to organize the gig culture a bit, because there have been complaints from both sides? There are freelancers who are going on LinkedIn or Twitter saying that I didn't get payment from such and such company. And there are also companies who might be claiming that people are not giving work on time, or are lazy, or are not as involved as the person who is working within the system. What are your thoughts on that?
I think this is a systemic problem with our society. It's not really only gig workers, right? Like all businesses of small or big sizes face these problems. And it's largely got to do with our judiciary and the fact that you can't take people to court over contracts, right? It's not financially, or even it's not practically viable to do that unless the scale of it is very, very big. I think each person will, and I don't think the judiciary is going to change overnight in India. So I think each person will have to watch out for these things of their own. Gig workers will tend to choose agencies or partners to work with, which they are more comfortable on, right? It's like an influencer today, or, or even an agency for that matter today. You choose your clients basis your comfort levels with them. You can find, in certain places for extremely specialized skills, maybe they could, demand for advances, or, do out things like that. But I don't see this problem getting sorted at a platform level. I see this problem, it's each person's problem to solve within the country.
Yeah, it's very behavioral in nature, changes from person to person and organization to organization or client to client or type of project. So it's like really, it's very difficult to, I don't see it becoming structured anytime soon.
Yeah, not easily. Maybe the pricing could get structured, but the payment, uh, I, I wish, I think there'll be tons and tons of people in India today, small, large businesses, gig workers alike, who are all, struggling to, uh, make ends meet from that perspective.
Pricing to get structured, do you think it's now high time for the industry to sit together and think of the right prices to give to the people? Because we have a standard system. We see in most agencies that first a junior copywriter at most of the places will be getting the similar pay.
Yeah.
Creative director will be getting almost a similar pay, but it's so different for the freelancers and the consultants. It sometimes it doesn't even make sense earning 20-30% less with the similar experience and working on a similar project. So does industry need to work on it as well?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I understood your question properly out there, but I see some part of it is about standardization,
Yeah.
or, of pricing as such. See, we have seen that platforms can solve some part of the problem. We've already seen it with platforms like Urban Clap, who allow, freelancers, well, not in our industry, but, outside of our industry, to put up their pricing and to transact through that medium. I think as gig workers, rise in numbers, you will find mediums like this which could help, standardize pricing, or help in, exchange of monies on those platforms. Um, yeah, so potentially, but outside of that, there isn't, as of today, there is no standardization. As of today, it's, literally got to do with, you have to have one contract, directly spoken to an individual right now. But yeah, I see this coming up in the near future. And from the looks of things, and we see this already happen internationally. It's not like it's not happened there. Like the gig economy has been big out there since a long time. So it's just about to come out here, and what kind of platform we would use for it.
Sam, do you have anything to add?
No, I think, yeah, but I don't have much to add in this.
Mm-hmm. Also, going ahead, how are you going to recognize talent? As you said, the gig economy is going to be a thing. So you have to have people in-house too. You have to have keep a good watch on people, on freelancers who are doing some good work. So one, for the person who's watching this live right now and wants to be a freelancer. So how do you get to them? How do you reach them? Where would you like to see their work being published so that it's easier for them? Should it be on LinkedIn? Should it be on Instagram? How do we promote ourselves?
Yeah, I think a lot of those answers still need to come out. I don't think we have clear answers for all of it. But for designers, and there's already Behance, which we've been using since many years now. For everyone in the video production space, there's Vimeo and there's YouTube, which are standard platforms out there. So it's typically their showreels, their work on these platforms, that helps us ascertain whether they're the right fit for us. Um, so the easiest thing for anyone to do is to populate that, and to populate that in a great manner. Those platforms have become platforms of discovery for a lot of agencies, and you're typically browsing on those platforms to see their connects out there. So very similar to, having a great website, which makes it easy for your customers to reach out to you and know about your work. These platforms are, just keeping them updated, keeping them relevant, helps you go out there and seek new business.
Also, LinkedIn has started becoming very, very important. I see myself spend more time on LinkedIn than any other social media platform. So even the recruitment teams are largely on who get the request from all the business heads as to who they need to hire. They are largely, using LinkedIn as the platform to discover to discover more people or just to discover new talent. So I think that talking about your work on LinkedIn specifically will surely help freelancers to kind of navigate through the system and kind of.
Yeah, I think a very important point there by Chandni, um, because of two things. I think one, even I would voice the same thing as her. I spend a ton of my time on LinkedIn, but outside of that, LinkedIn hasn't still become a very populous platform as such. So if you go out there and if you talk, your content is right now reaching way more people organically than on other platforms right now. So yeah, depending on what kind of skill set you have, you have to pick the right social platform of choice and spend time on those platforms to reach out to clients.
So, are LinkedIn influencers going to be a thing in the coming months?
For sure. I mean, definitely, yeah. There are lots of important people, but I think the kind of content that will be shared on LinkedIn will be very different from that of Instagram, YouTube, and all of that. So yeah, but I think LinkedIn I do see as a very important platform for corporate culture, ethics, all of those topics I think would largely be discussed on LinkedIn. And a lot of people, like I already do follow quite a few people who are creating content specifically for LinkedIn and for companies. So yeah, it'll definitely pick up over time. Even like a lot of financial companies, I think can utilize
The yes,
influencers on LinkedIn
Indian, yes,
to talk about investment plans, and I think that's a decent platform for people to be on. Yeah, HR is a very important topic to talk about. Culture, these are things that I think this is the kind of content a lot of people consume, and that LinkedIn content creators, for them that's the right kind of space to be in and tap into. And I already see internationally a lot of content creators do that, so I think that's going to grow as well in India. Yeah.
and for advertisers, how popular is LinkedIn, and are there going to be ads over there or promotions over there in future?
Sorry, for advertisers.
LinkedIn.
Will they be considering LinkedIn as a part of the media plan going ahead?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn has already been considered as part of the media plan for the last 3 years now. And LinkedIn has constantly been bringing out new formats to advertise also. The place where LinkedIn probably lacks a little bit is on the pricing. It's a little expensive. It's quite expensive, I would say,
Yes.
to advertise on that platform. And as I was mentioning earlier, the number of users on that platform is still limited.
Hmm.
So you can't reach a very wide audience. But for certain audiences and for high net worth individuals and products, something like real estate, LinkedIn has already been a mainstay of what they've been doing in the past. I've been waiting around. I keep telling Chandni, I've been waiting around for LinkedIn to become more India centric, become more viable as a pricing to advertise in India. The second that happens, I see a ton of advertisers already flocking up out there and using it way more aggressively than they are using it today.
Uh, and also going ahead, apart from LinkedIn and the usual social media platforms that are popular right now, is there a hidden gem that you have your eyes on and you think could do better in future? Maybe some of the audio platforms that are there, storytelling platforms or something.
So I think I see three places where where digital advertising was not as prominent, and now it's going to become very, very prominent. One is a lot of news apps, I think, and that also regional. A
Mhm.
lot of those are going to see a lot of traction. I think the first week of the pandemic that
Mhm.
hit, uh, news apps saw a 30% increase in terms of unique visitors week on week post that. So, and I think that's a behavior that's going to stay. I don't see people going back to newspapers per se. And, that those digital news apps are going to kind of become very important from a branding standpoint. Second, I think, is gaming. I don't know, like Candy Crush, Ludo King. These are those games where I feel like a lot of people are spending a lot of time on. And in India, like how internationally gaming advertising spends on gaming are quite large. In India, that's not been the case, but I see now that kind of grow also significantly. And the third thing is OTT. I feel that's not a hidden gem per se, but it is what a lot of people are adopting to when it comes to, like, since TV content has not been kind of, new TV content has not been created. I think a lot of older generation people also are moving from television to OTT. So advertising and taking those platforms to be, being more serious about those platforms and advertising on those platforms is going to become extremely important. So these three, I definitely feel I'll see, like, platforms to consider big time when it comes to advertising. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with Chandni on that. Surely about the OTT front, I'm very bullish on it. The AVOD side of OTT, which relies on advertising, is going to grow exponentially over the next year, and as we move on from there. A couple of things to add to what she's saying is from a social media and a social media platform perspective, where I see the biggest growth happening, which will get spoken about a lot. It's already getting spoken about, and I think it'll get spoken about more and more, is in the regional space, right? So I see Hello and Share Chat as two growing platforms in this space. And when you go out there and you see the adoption and the amount of content that's being put up, I think India is coming up as Bharat right now, right? It's the part of India which has not had access to the internet earlier, which is coming online, and that part is largely regional. So I think these couple of apps will have massive traction in the coming time.
Hmm. Uh, and how do you think the CMOs of today are aware of these changes that are happening? Are they smarter? Are they are they quick to adapt to newer platforms and newer
I think
opportunities?
the pace of digital has been so crazy that it's impossible for CMOs to be completely abreast. But I mean, luckily with the amazing people, some of our clients that we're working with, they are working hard enough and they're agile enough to be digital first. They are working towards, creating a more regional content, usage of new social media platforms like TikTok, Hello, Share Chat. They are kind of moving, but I can't say. I mean, we all are learning. It's like a process where we all are discovering what's coming up in this space. Yeah.
Yeah, all the good CMOs are. All the good CMOs are spending a lot of time out there. All the, and I think a lot of the rest which weren't taking it very seriously are now forced to do it, right? There's no option. There's no option. And plus, also, there's suddenly a lot more time. There's too much focus. So, invariably, everyone is moving in that direction right now. The degree of utilization might be different across, depending on the industry and depending on the organization as such. But it's surely, right there on top of everyone's agenda right now. I don't think anyone does not have it as part of what they're working on, or what they're thinking on right now.
So is digital going to be the mainstream of future? And we'll start calling TV, television, and digital the traditional medium.
Yeah, there's no question about it. The time frame is what we can debate, but there's no question that it's going to become, the most dominant medium of the future. It's already happened, right? Worldwide, digital spends are over 50%. In most countries, it is outgrown TV.
Yes.
India, of course, is going to take this journey. Was taking this journey slower than everyone else. COVID has made it grow faster, but it's still going to take some time before we say traditional mediums are now a thing of the past, or digital is the traditional medium. Digital is a very important medium today. It is one of the primary mediums, and in the future, surely going to be surely going to take the place of TV.
Yeah, I think TV still has sizable impact when it comes to branding on businesses. So that I would say is here to stay. But the rest of the other mediums, I feel like will not have that sort of an impact, like print, outdoor, compared to what it had. I think TV and digital will become very, very important largely. And I feel like digital largely is because some lot of user behaviors have shifted in this due to this pandemic, right?
Yes.
um, like literally, if you think about how much time we spend on our screens, and if work from home and online education is here to stay,
Mhm.
then the screens have become a mode of survival. And when it comes to recreation, again, you're using the screens to play games, or watch OTT content, or even connect with your friends on Zoom. So digital, and I see that also in the older age groups and the younger age groups, because they're forced to study online. So that's why the medium is becoming more mainstream in people's lives,
Yes.
and hence I feel like it's a medium here to stay and will become more mainstream. Yeah.
And talking about OTTs, so those platforms which are strictly subscription based right now, will they should they consider going AWOD as well, or giving this mixed services depending on the consumer choice?
I'm going to go with what our client does, Hotstar. And I think a mixed model is a great model to have because it does both. It has the ability for someone to enjoy some percentage of the content while viewing advertising, and then for people who are affording a subscription, they can probably get some further content or better experience on the platform. So I think a mixed model is something that that works really well for Hotstar. Having said that, I think each platform has to see how their revenue model works.
Okay.
If I understood the revenue models, much deeper, just like I understand my own revenue models, I would be able to comment, little more, precisely on which model is the best model to go with. But I think the mixed model works really well, largely because it brings in a large set of people that get to at least experience the platform, and then the set of people that enjoy the platform and that want to have more to do with the platform can subscribe and get a better service. So that freemium model is a great model across a lot of different businesses.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think subscription is not the only thing. Advertising revenues are also sizable for OTT platforms and will become more sizable.
mhm.
So, giving content viewing for free is also not such a bad idea, because you're making your revenues in other places, right? So, yeah, I think.
And do we see more aggregators coming into picture who will just get all the platforms on one big platform and then offer you maybe the subscription model or the advertising
Yeah, meaning we will see lots of stuff happening in this space. Let me say that.
model?
There will be aggregators, there will be tons of more individual OTT subscribers, there will be lots of technology. You will see boxes that support both regular television, and they're already there, regular television and OTT television. You're going to see lots of stuff happening in this space. I think it's a very, very hot space. It's a very fast evolving space. So difficult to ascertain what exactly will stay for the long term, because it's in that disruptive phase of growth right now, where sudden adoption is going up through the roof. But you will see a lot of action happen out here, and probably I just bought a new internet connection at home. Won't mention what brand, but they offered 1 year free of Amazon and 1 year free of Z5 and few other things on the platform.
Yes.
So already it's getting integrated and bundled into other services also right now.
Uh, and if you want to understand how popular are OTT platform amongst the advertisers, can you share some examples of your clients who are investing in AVO side of OTT, or who see it as a viable platform to reach out to the consumer?
Yeah, I think till now, cricket has been the biggest driver of monies on the OTT platform, right? Like, and sad this year that we've had to miss IPL,
Yeah.
both from a mainline or a digital perspective. It's been one of the bigger hits that everyone has taken. But you will see brands like Future Group, brands like Dream 11, brands like Vivo, advertise very heavily on all of these platforms. We saw Swiggy advertise quite a bit out there. Um, yes, it is concentrated to when the sporting events. It has been largely concentrated to when the sporting events are happening. But I would say over the last month and a half, I've been in at least 5 different conversations with my clients who want to start exploring this as soon as their branding spend start again. So we've been discussing them the entire gamut of different OTT platforms, because each platform has different things that they offer, different kinds of audiences that they pull in. So we've been pitching to them about it. Last year we've done smaller spends outside of cricket, but largely it's been around cricket. But now I think maybe in the next month or two you will start seeing campaigns happen on television shows, regular TV shows also.
Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And what about the great content that Hotstar, which is your client, and Z5 have been churning out? I feel that there's a lack of confidence in the premium originals that these platforms are creating. What are your thoughts on it?
Of there's a lack of confidence in.
Confidence in the premium originals which these comparatively smaller platforms are creating right now. So advertising on them is not as much, like, are advertisers attracted or not?
Yeah. So I'll talk about the content separately and advertising separately.
Mhm.
In terms of content, I feel all of them are improving in terms of the content that they're putting out. I think Special Ops was a fabulous show,
Exactly.
to say the least. Super engaging. I loved it, and we are seeing that now across platforms. Having said that, there is some good content coming. There's also a lot of not so good content out there where you watch 1 or 2 episodes and then you decide to drop it. I think it's a function of maturity of the platforms itself. If you see the Netflix international content, it's fabulous. There's no question about it. But it took many years to get there. Similarly, I feel um, it's about any industry maturing, and this is forcing that industry to mature much faster. So I see a lot of good shows coming up in the coming few months. When it comes to advertising, it's not always possible to advertise on that show, right? So you're advertising either on the TV content, which is now getting put onto the OTT platform, or onto the free content that's getting put onto the platform. So I think Z5 has some good regional shows where they're driving a lot of eyeballs right now towards them. So you will see advertisers move to these kind of shows which are before the paywall, and driving a lot of eyeballs towards it.
Largely, I think for OTT to become mainstream and command the respect of TV, I feel is that I think then they all are working towards it, and it'll slowly happen. Is how can you bring like content that a family can view together, which is like something that all of, because if you see some of the pieces of content, it's like you can't really watch it with your parents or your kids in the mix. So I think that's one problem I think most OTT players are trying to solve, they all are in the direction of bringing more family viewing experiences together. Yeah, and then advertising will pick up like on those platforms. Yeah, because then it will make a lot of sense for advertisers overall. Yeah.
So which of the domestic OTT platforms that are impressing you as well as your clients? Some of the content that you have, like you mentioned Special Ops, some other pieces that have come out from the domestic players.
Yeah, I think Hotstar is doing phenomenally. Not also because they are our clients, and not also because they are our clients, but yeah, they are doing a really good job. Some of the shows recently, even Hostages was a fabulous show. See a lot of viewership. Plus, their collaboration with Disney has really helped them bring a lot of kids content to the foreground, which is great. Like a lot of Marvel, and so I think that's one player I feel very confident of compared to everyone else in the space. Yeah.
Rogan, and I don't want a biased answer from you. I'm from Hotstar too.
No, I think some of the shows on Netflix, I'm surely hooked on to, and I watched them. Like Sacred Games one for season one was great. Season two, of course, not so great. Um, you know, um, but I feel Netflix outside of Hotstar is doing a decent job. There's some interesting content out there that's happening. A lot of stand-up comedy content also, which helps. Amazon Prime, I feel is again attacking a slightly different audience out there, and their game is upping, and they're surely showing a lot of intent onto it. I'm not commenting on the other platforms largely because it's not the kind of content I consume. So I wouldn't be the right person to be saying anything about it. So while I think the platforms are growing, and I look at it more as a numbers perspective, whenever I recommend a platform, one is it's not from the content which I enjoy, but the content which eventually drives a larger number of eyeballs and brings meaningful results to my clients. Those are the things that are important to me more than anything else. So I'm kind of try to evaluate it more objectively than subjectively.
But I wanted to understand it more from a domestic perspective, not just the Netflixes and Amazon.
Sure. No, I think it's interesting that recently I think old Balaji has teamed up with Z5, and is putting up all their content out there. See, Balaji is of course the kingpin when it comes to India and family viewing or family based content. So that's a very interesting partnership for me to know of and to hear of. And I think they'll get some things right on that front. So yeah, that surely stands out to me. MX Player has shown very very large numbers, some great numbers on that front. I haven't had the chance to really view a lot of the content on it to comment, but especially from a number standpoint, I think they have some pretty large numbers on that platform.
And how is it going to be for brand integration in premium original shows which are behind paywalls right now?
Brand integrations are far and few between as of now. They are happening a lot on YouTube, and I would say on webisodes on YouTube, which kind of occupies a similar space like the OTT guys. With YouTube also now having a premium option out there. But as the eyeballs, we've seen on like shows like Coffee with Karan, there have been certain branding integrations put out. We have seen it on a few shows, but it's a very potent means of brand building, and as we see more surety in the success of the show, then you will see brands integrating more often, because typically brand integrations happen when the show is getting produced. Right now, most of the shows are in that position where uh, the producers themselves, the platform themselves, are waiting and watching how they are performing after they go live. So I think brands right now might be a little wary of it because they're not guaranteed success on that front. But as soon as they start understanding, the kind of content and the kind of audiences better, I think brand integrations would become, a mainstay.
So are you saying, is it like season wise? If the season one is a hit, so there are better chances of season two getting some brand integrations, or is it like the general behavior change that will happen over time?
Yeah, that's probably a good way of getting some understanding at least of how the show is going to perform, because you will carry on the eyeballs from season one onto season two. Whether or not season two is a success or not, at least you're guaranteed that there's an audience base which is loyal to it, which will come. So probably that would be one of the ways of gauging whether the show is successful. Otherwise, if it's got some named celebrities which automatically draw those kind of eyeballs, that could be another way of gauging it. Or it could be a format which has been successful, let's say on television, and then that format is getting replicated on OTT, and maybe that could be a third way of gauging success, or a brand taking a call upfront that they would want to invest into brand integration for sure.
Another thing that Chandni mentioned was that there are not many family friendly shows out there on OTTs right now. So self-regulation, all of this discussion is also a big thing going on. So for content creators who are creating content for OTT and for the platforms as well, what sort of changes are you going to see in the coming future in the sort of content that is being produced and that is being released on OTT platforms? There are certain platforms like Sony Live has just revamp their identity too. And earlier too, they were taking some small films made out. There was a film called Murgi, Ghar Ki Murgi, which they also aired on television while they launched it on OTT. So there's going to be a change in the sort of content mode. Are we going to see some sort of content that's already out on TV coming to the OTT space as well?
100%. I think all the shows are working towards, creating more like a holistic viewing experience where all age groups can kind of watch together. And I see a lot of content like that coming. There are also those shows that you want to watch, but which are not that. So that there has to be a good mix of both. But I see like the shows that are getting produced as originals, they are taking this approach of being keeping the sensibilities of everybody and kind of creating and producing those shows. Yeah.
I think more and more people are watching these platforms. Earlier, it was limited to your laptop or to your phone,
Yes.
and now people are watching it on their smart TVs or their Fire
Yeah.
Sticks, those kind of devices. So surely more people are around during that time. So those sensibilities need to be kept in check to some extent. Like you will see a safe mode, you'll see different profiles getting created
Yes.
where certain content is not accessible to kids or to other members of the family as such. So yeah, these are small things that will happen on the platform. I also the best thing I saw, the biggest change which was unexpected, is I started seeing a lot of OTT content on regular channels.
Yes.
I think because the shows couldn't produce any further episodes, they had to fill in those prime time gaps on TV, and you saw stuff going the other way around. So
But if sorry to cut you, but if Bart had to be believed, that content didn't really work well on television. Not just not just in rural areas, but also in urban areas, the numbers weren't that impressive.
that's true. That's true. So I don't think that that's a behavior that will continue. It was just something that I found amusing at that time. Now coming to the other way around, you're seeing theatrical releases happening on OTT, right?
Yeah, that's gonna
Uh,
be huge.
that's meaning that's a it's a behavior that is so rooted into the world, into our culture, which is changing right now. So I think see that happening. I also see that a lot of shows, a lot of movies go from their theatrical release to their release on OTT platforms very quickly now, right? You saw movies like I think Uri, which
Mhm.
which came like
Really quickly.
very quickly, where while it was still running, I think in the cinemas, or it just
Yes.
came off the cinemas and the next day they had it here.
Mhm.
So I think the lag time is reducing. There is more movie content getting produced for this. Not that they weren't producing, but it was largely more show based content. And now I see a equal suddenly a rise of the movie based content getting produced forward.
Uh, and last few questions to you. So
Mm-hmm.
during this COVID times, we saw a lot of interesting campaigns, a lot of creativity coming out from across agencies. So are there any personal favorites of yours? Some of them, maybe yours or some of which your competitors have created during this time, which you really like?
So I like to talk about one of ours, I think, which is something
Chandni is very biased. She loves her company. True
I
and true.
actually do. I'm very, very, yeah, I'll come to competitors also.
Okay.
But what one of our campaigns that I'm very proud of is a campaign that we did for TikTok, which was about the stop of spreading fake news.
Yes.
The campaign was called Matkar Forward, and I think it's such an important message that we as a team pulled off with TikTok. I think it's so important at this point of time because with this pandemic going on, the amount of fake news that's circulating in the country, it's been a very bad situation when it comes to that. So I'm really proud of that messaging that went out. In fact, after that, after we put out that message, I saw a lot of other brands also talk about this issue per se, so which was really nice to see. And this campaign was one of those campaigns that actually turned around and came back onto my WhatsApp as a message on family groups and all. So it was something that it is surely one of the campaigns that I'm very, very proud of. When it comes to competitor campaigns, I think I'm seeing a lot of work happening for OTT brands. I saw this really interesting campaign that Netflix did, which I think was interesting. In fact, Surf Excel also did a really nice campaign for Eid, which was executed, I think, by the Pakistan team of some agency. I'm not sure of the name of the agency, but very well done. That also was shot in the just like shot at home, but the production quality was really beautiful. Like, it felt like it was a well produced film with a shoot set, models, and all of that. So, yeah, that was another really, the Surf Excel campaign for Eid, which came out recently, was really, really nice. Yeah.
Uh, for me, it was it's a campaign which I saw very recently, and in all these serious times, I've been seeing a lot of serious campaigns as such. But this one brought a smile to my face, and that's why I remember it so vividly. It's a campaign that Burger King did last week, which is when their stores opened up and they had to still continue social distancing. They give you this really big hat for every time you buy a burger. They give you this massive hat, which if you are standing next to someone, it automatically puts you at the right kind of distance of about 6 feet from them. So it stood out for me because things have been making all of us quite depressed during this time at different things. So it's nice to see a brand to go and even do something fun for the people.
Yeah.
Say that even in these times we can also all have a smile also.
I think this other one that even Sony did, I don't know if you've seen the Kala Chashma film with Amitabh Bachchan and all
Yes,
the
yes,
celebrities. Yeah, I
yes,
think that was also really fun, good messaging, and a good, very smartly executed
yes.
film. So yeah, that was one that I really liked. Yeah.
Yeah. Creativity all around.
Yeah.
And when do you see things going back, maybe going forward to the new normal? When do you see things opening up, the lockdown getting completely lifted, brands uh, again able to produce and supply at the similar level which was pre-COVID?
So I do see like some of the brands had completely come to a standstill. I feel like now they are opening up and they want to start marketing again, which is really important for them. But I don't see this behavior going back to normal. I think social distancing is here to stay. So now all the campaigns that will be created around the new normal, which is because still we don't find a vaccine. This is going to be the state of things. So social distancing is all your campaigns will be about, keeping health hygiene in focus and what brands are doing to kind of help you, not like your mall experiences won't be the case. Maybe going to your kirana store would be the thing. How do I quickly go in and come out? I think another thing from touch and feel is going to be about surf and click, which is going to happen overall. Brands are going to, like, a lot of consumers are going to possibly, fill their carts online and then go collect it. So it's going to be about click and collect overall. So lots of different type of campaigns will come out, which will keep the new normal of health, hygiene, sanitation, social distancing as a key part while they're communicating with their customers. Yeah.
Rohan, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think India can't afford to not go back to normal soon enough. We don't have the same liberties that other countries have. We don't have the same kind of deep pockets as they have. Um, and whether the country likes it or not, you will be forced to go back to work to some extent, right? Like we've seen unemployment now go up to 25%. And even the last package wasn't a very exciting package, as a lot of people opined on that. That package did not bring a lot of economic stimulus to India. So while I feel the lockdown will continue in parts, across the country for next 3-4 months as I see it, and organizations like us who have the liberty of allowing people to work from home for a longer time will go ahead and do that. I think lots of organizations which have that liberty will continue the work from home culture. But manufacturing has to start. Manufacturing should start. I completely believe that because it shouldn't be that the economic hit that we take is way worse than the health hit that we are taking in the country. So we have to balance things out at some level, and that's why I'm hoping the country starts up sooner rather than later. I have started seeing few signs of recovery already. People have started opening up, and they figured out a big part of recovery is also everyone adapting to this new style of working, right? So certain businesses which are older, more traditional, took a little longer. But now even those guys have, come to terms with things. They've, started thinking of the future. I like that you asked me questions around what's the future going to be. Because I feel there is almost not much sense in pondering about what today is and what the next 15-20 days are going to be like. I always want to look, into the future and see. And I think a positive future, right? Like they always say, they don't say, it's in fact proven by data that post the biggest recessions, you will see the largest upsurges in growth. And that's what excites me more than anything else, waiting for that amazing bull run that we've enjoyed for many years, right? After 2009 till now, it's been a great bull run. And I see that happening. We just have to make it through this hump, and we are on. I would say we are on the tipping part of that hump, and so I see better days come soon enough.
And when do you see the advertising spends increasing again?
Festive, I would say pre-festive and festive. This time we have a late festive this year. Diwali is in November. But because most brands will have conserved their budgets, also been a little more cautious during these months, they will now find reasons and they will manufacture more opportunities to push consumption, right? So, and there's no better time in India than festive. So I think June, July won't be that quiet. But moving into August, September, October, you will keep seeing a consistent rise over those few months. So yeah, that's how I see it.
And friends and out of home, are they going to, will they be able to revive by the time of festive season?
I see certain hits that these places have taken will be long-term hits, right? Because those behavioral changes are now going to be part of society. But of course, there will be a revival. It surely won't be in the state that it is right now. Some of these are down like 90% from the top. That's not something which I feel is the need of the hour right now. You will see a considerable recovery from that. I would say print little lesser recovery than OH, but both of these will recover pretty significantly from where they are right now. I'm most worried about actually events more than anything else.
Exactly.
Because that's something that we haven't yet even come up with a good solution for. Everyone's waiting and watching. I'm happy to hear that some sporting events across the world are starting. Yesterday, I just heard, I think the Premier League is, going to be played probably closed doors without any crowds. But so that's one good thing. But then there are lots of events outside of sporting events. So that part I feel is still 6 months, this whole year, 2020 will be a tough year for that part of the industry.
From where I see it, I guess this is going to be another opportunity for digital platforms because IPL, we have witnessed that Hotstar clocked massive numbers during IPL.
Hmm?
And now, when the only option will be to watch it online, I guess digital has another opportunity lying there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we have to see. Of course, people are hungry for sports, but also we have to be cognizant of the fact that when you take the crowds off the stadium, there is a big part of the experience, even for a viewer who's watching it through TV, which gets marred, or which doesn't have the same feel. I was watching a UFC fight a couple of weeks back, and it just didn't have the same feel. So yes, you will see the crowds thronging to it. I don't know, the efficacy of it, because we haven't yet figured out that model. It's going to be happening for the first time. Um, but yeah, at least I'm just waiting for it to happen, right? I hope IPL happens, and I hope sporting events come back.
OML is doing a lot of comedy shows online.
Yeah.
They are going to be roasts, they are going to be sit down acts, what they are calling it. Are brands interested in that sort of sponsorship or advertising on such platforms as well?
I think it again depends on the content. But one interesting thing about the OML thing is, again, I saw pay per click for certain events, which is an interesting thing. I think India is slowly moving towards this whole pay per view, pay per view sort of a model overall. I think brands, for them, it's about what is your the quality of content and how many people are actually viewing it. I mean, it really, like, if those two parameters work out, then brands are ready to spend the money wherever the people are. So yeah.
I, I agree. I think entertainment is important. We all are lacking a lot of forms of entertainment, and we're looking forward for those forms of entertainment, whether they be in comedy, whether they be in music shows. I see people at least wanting to pay for it. We have to find meaningful ways for brands to integrate in it, and brands will, pick up some budgets and put aside some budgets for entertainment based shows.
Also, Chandni, somewhere in the conversation, mentioned that she is seeing a lot of growth on the regional side, vernacular languages side. So, apart from platforms being created for those languages, or being for those languages, the mainstream platforms, what the three biggies we have: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Do we see more languages being introduced there, more user friendly options coming in to put captions in own vernacular languages and read them?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's already there,
It's
right?
already there,
Yeah,
but is it going to be more pronounced?
for sure. I think the penetration in terms of how digital is evolving into what people say Bharat, definitely I see these platforms kind of have a serious uptake in terms of being able to cater to Bharat. So for sure. And I think with this whole geo thing also coming in, maybe I don't know how things work, but I guess that could be an idea of how do you kind of dive deeper into uh, the customers or the life of India at large. Yeah, for sure.
And
Even
our
web experiences and all are changing like drastically. It's not only digital advertising anymore, but when we are doing regional, we're taking 7 languages, creating ads in those languages, creating landing pages in those languages. So even the entire user experience on digital from start to end is, at least for what brands are working towards, is kind of completely giving a whole regional experience to the audience. So yeah, of course, Facebook and also will do it. Yeah.
Rohan, you want to add something?
It's a function of the users.
Hmm.
All of this is a function of the users. It's a function of the users' preference. These platforms haven't become so big, just like that. They've understood the users' requirements and they've been very fast to adapt and provide solutions to the users' requirements. And this is a need of India today. These platforms are already doing a good job at it, and they'll keep investing more time and efforts into making regional as a significant part of their platforms. So yeah, I think it's surely going to happen, and we see that of course COVID and the lockdown and the pandemic has led to that that part of India suffering quite a bit. But post that, we were seeing this happen before, and we'll see it happen soon enough, that it's that part of society which is going to have the largest change, which is having the biggest material change in their buying power, in their exposure, in their want to even look at trends or copy trends, or and invest through digital on things. So for sure, we'll see a large buying behavior out there, and wherever they're buying customers, you will see that behavior, the platform adopting to them.
Great. And I guess advertisers will have to follow the trend because, as you said, they have to put their money wherever the customer is. So, are they really proactive in that zone? We might see most of the digital first brands or young brands doing that already, but more of the traditional brands, are they keeping up with the pace? Are they doing these things now?
Of regional languages.
Getting into regional languages, creating specific ads for in language and not just dubbing it out.
It's I would say it's really difficult to do it unilaterally and at scale for everyone, right? Because India is still uh, behind in its terms of its general digital adoption. So digital adoption is growing, then regional adoption is the next thing. So brands who are early in the digital adoption game, they are doing a pretty good job at the regional adoption out there. But brands that are coming onto digital for the first time, I think they already have their hands full trying to do it in maybe one or two languages today. So I think it's got to do with whoever came onto digital first. They are probably doing this better. Having said that, I think when it comes to traditional medium, everyone, like, while on digital, regional is a new buzzword and that's the thing that's growing. Everyone already had a regional strategy when it came to traditional, right? They advertised in newspapers, all of them were in those languages, all the hoardings were in the right language. So I think it's just it's about them adopting, spending enough time and effort on it, and they will see the output, and they will start doing that in multiple different
In
languages.
fact, like traditional brands that are not even digital first, whenever they use any medium, they are so used to communicating in those languages, bases their geographies and all. In fact, they will move to this regional marketing faster than these new age digital brands. They still like trying doing gimmicky things. These guys know that I need to talk to these people. This is my zone of communication, and this is how I'm going to talk it. So traditional brands are actually faster at that adoption. Yeah.
And I think it's easier to get into the regional space on digital platforms because we have the options of creating memes, which I guess is the most cost effective and time effective thing to create for any brand or for any influencer. Also, influencer marketing. And now, with everyone having a smartphone and editing suits coming to your smartphones, it's easier to make low cost videos as well. But from where I see, most of the influences out there, most of the meme pages out there are either in Hindi or English, massively English. So, do you see a change in that trend? Also, more vernacular speaking people becoming influencers on mainstream platforms, not just limited to TikTok or Hello, as you said. Coming to Facebook, coming to Instagram, coming to YouTube.
So yeah, completely. In fact, I feel it's in fact them going down that path
Hmm.
is much easier. Like over the last year, we already collaborate with specific influencers, which are South influencers.
Hmm.
And now I'm generalizing South, but it's multiple different parts of the South, which is Kerala. You'll have Andhra. You have different influencers for them. They are already part of our plans over the last year and a half. We have, specific Bengali influencers in Calcutta. I think because they are from that locality, they're from that region, they understand that language. It's their main medium or their second medium of communication. They found it much easier to tap into it and adapt to this trend. And in fact, micro influencers is I think you get some of the best ROI is on micro influencers right now. Who might not have very large audiences, but the amount that you pay them is not that big, and they influence that audience in their own way, in their own language, making content that is, that appeals to that audience. So yeah, influencer marketing, though, I feel it's already a part of it, and it will keep picking up.
So across all our brands, yeah, wherever there is a go-to-market strategy, or they're launching in a specific market, it's always a mix of few celebrities, influencers, and then followed by regional and micro influencers. It's a strategy that's worked across brands that we've had.
Is it widespread, or does it need more uptake?
It will have, I see it rise. I mean, right now it's not as widespread, but I do definitely see an uptick coming into the mix, because lots of brands now, suddenly lots of marketers are asking for regional specific influences, which wasn't the case before. So you're right, there has been an uptick in terms of how the demand has evolved.
I guess Rohan was saying something.
No, I think I agree with what Chani is saying. And it's got to do with how anything evolves in this world, right? Like typically when you start doing something, you always spread your net little wide, and then you get more focused into one thing. So I think regional influencers is largely part of that, getting more fine tuned in your strategy, getting more focused to your end consumer, and that's why it's getting such a large fillip right now. And as a trend, it will keep picking up, because their audiences are also, some platforms are giving more reach to those kind of influencers, so automatically their voice becomes more heard.
Mm-hmm. And if we have to brief everything up that we have discussed in the past 1 hour or so, so what do you think the biggest trends that are going to be leading the digital marketing, maybe the traditional marketing industry as well, in the coming future?
I think the biggest trend is going to be to stop calling it digital marketing and traditional marketing, right?
Okay.
It's marketing at the end of the day, and I think this is that point where everyone will finally understand, once and for all, that at the end of the day, the consumer is the consumer, and this is one more medium to reach to that consumer. So the biggest, according to me, the biggest takeaway will be that. Amongst smaller other things that I see happening, I see more flexible workspaces, more flexible offices coming up. Surely, virtual interaction, we spoke a lot about it today, is mainstay. I also feel that in general, people are going to be more adjusting amongst them, each other also. And that's, organizations will want to give more flexibility to their people. Things, and coming from digital platforms, Chandni touched upon OTT, news, and regional platforms being a very big part of it. Yeah, so some of these changes, I think, will be here to stay. We are smiling, both of us are smiling, I think, only in the hope, not in the hope, in the knowledge that tomorrow digital is going to be the biggest gainer. And by being specialists of this platform, while I said marketing is universal, but surely we are specialists on this platform. We have a lot to be excited about, and we have a lot to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Chandni?
Yeah, I think there's going to be an integrated approach when it comes to brand strategy, thinking, all of that, but like with the traditional and digital thing that he's talking about. There's definitely going to be an integrated approach to the brand, the business.
Mhm.
But what I really feel is that I also see a lot of specialization happening to create digital experiences overall, which will be specialized agencies. So I feel like integration consolidation will happen at a solution level of what we're providing, but a lot of point solutions like a AR experience or a contactless experience, those things will kind of happen where there'll be specialized agencies kind of coming into the mix. But yeah, that's what I feel. Brands will be doing what I feel like the business uh, requirement is and how their customers are responding to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add one last thing. I think most important thing is a lot of the agility that brands and businesses show during this time will determine where their futures go. When things like this happen, new kings are crowned, new leaders are made. Some, stand to lose, some stand to gain. And people who look at this as an opportunity, people who look at this as something that they need to adapt and evolve into, will have lots to gain from it. And I think some people will probably drop off. I think there are good days which will come soon enough, and it's important to make sure that you're putting your organization and your business in a place where it can participate in the growth of tomorrow, because that growth will come.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to be a
Also,
choice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what I understand is that agencies are not just about communication now. They are also about data analytics. They are also about data management. So a lot of artificial intelligence and ML functioning will become a part of your regular day-to-day working as well. And as you said, more of remote working is going to happen. So you will need that to manage that as well. So how is Kinnect preparing for that? How ready are you? How agile are you to adapt to newer things?
I think agility is at our core, meaning Kinnect has always been an ever changing organization. We're not married into any particular service or any particular capability that we have. So, just if you see our journey, we're constantly evolving to make sure that we are providing the most relevant solutions, the most contemporary solutions for today. So while you see certain things that we are known for, there are lots of things which are on the back burner, which are in process. Because at any point of time, I'm building out one or two verticals within the organization. So Kinnect in general, I think our ethos is that we are always going to be evolving. Our ethos is going to be that no matter how big we become, we will want to be nimble, flexible, and not get romanced by how we were successful yesterday or today, and make sure that we are adapting to the future.
I
coming
think
to the,
what
coming
agent,
to data and analytics, sorry Chan,
yeah.
data analytics and AI, I think all of these are very potent tools to eventually provide creative solutions to solve business problems, right? They by themselves don't really do anything. Data is existent today also, and we have tons of data. We've been doing a lot of data driven marketing over the last couple of years. I think the dependence only goes up, the saliency of technology goes up, but eventually it's a bunch of creative minds who have to take that data, who have to take that platform and then build it into a solution creatively. So I think that's creativity is the variable, creativity is the difference, and these things can only aid that. And being an engineer, of course, numbers come easier to me, and I'm more of a number cruncher than anything else. So it's almost my first job was in the IT field, and today I see that advertising, marketing, and information technology are colliding and converging so intensely. And I think those cross-functional skills are coming to use more than anything else right now.
Yeah.
Chandni, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was saying that what happens with agencies is that you see there are lots of different roles we play in our clients' lives today. The role that lot people can see outwardly is of us being communication partners. But what they are like, what is not visible is that we're also their business consultants. We're also kind of helping them manage their data better. But these are roles in the background, which I think with this situation, the pandemic coming into place, I've seen that our role of business being business consultants has actually come more to the foreground than it ever was before. And where we're suggesting solutions, but largely, I'm just saying the communication side of the business is seen outrightly vis-a-vis the other aspects of the business. Yeah.
So are you investing in some kind of data tools? Are you partnering with some of the tech providers right now to just keep the pace with the developments that are happening?
Yeah, we've been one of the early adopters of programmatic in our space, very closely aligned with Adobe, Google, a lot of other tools out there, even third-party data we've been using pretty aggressively on all our campaigns. Over the last couple of years, we've also started using our CRM data from our clients more efficiently. I don't think it's the tools; it's the ability to the tools is a particular technology, but it's your ability to read data and to break it into something that's usable. That's been our biggest effort. Whether it's listening based data or whether it's customer data or whether it's CRM data that's coming in.
Shannon, you want to add something?
No, I think we've been doing this for a while, and it's just going to come more and more. I think what clients really need us in is how do we kind of simplify this and kind of really help, like I think when it comes to data analytics, there's this huge complexity that's built around it. I just feel like what agency partners like us do, we've been using this for a really long time. How do we kind of simplify this for them to kind of use this for their business is what is what we're working towards, and we will only be evolving that service. Yeah, because it's very important to the
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Could you give me some more specifics into the tools that you have been talking about? You said you have been some of the early adopters. You said you are investing in CRM and you are partnering with Adobe and as well other platforms. So can you give me just a little more detail to understand the technical side of things?
Sure.
Not just the creative but technical too.
Sure. So on programmatic, we manage it through DoubleClick, which is part of the Google ecosystem right now.
Mm-hmm.
On data management, we work with Lotami and Bluekai. These are places which are for data management and third-party data. For analytics, we've always been using both of these platforms, Google and Adobe platforms, pretty intensely on that front. Salesforce for CRM, but then Capillary also for retail-based CRM. So Capillary is a CRM which is used very often in the retail space. And then of course the e-commerce data that we were getting, meaning that's something that we've been doing since a long time. Outside of that, newer partners that we bring in from a solution standpoint is right now for WhatsApp based buying. So recently we've launched a couple of these chatbots which enable WhatsApp based buying for our customers. So that's been, in fact, in this current time, that's been something that a lot of our customers have asked for. So that's been a place where WhatsApp for Business we've been using pretty closely on that front. So yeah, these are some of the solutions that we're utilizing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chandni and Rohan, for giving so much of time. It was a very insightful discussion. Are there any thoughts, parting thoughts, goodbyes you want to say?
Yeah, I think Mansi, you've been a fabulous host, and thank you for having us on board. We also really enjoyed the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope to take
Thanks so much.
and do more interactive sessions. And as you said, we also do a lot of events. So I hope this gets over soon, and we host you in a live event soon as well.
Definitely. Yeah, we hope so soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Take care. Have a nice evening.
Bye,
Bye.
Mansi. Thanks so much. Hope to see you in person soon.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Take care. See you.
Yeah. Bye.